everyone present except for Jim. Let's go on to item number 5, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Support.
Comments and discussions? Anything? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, or anyone opposed? Okay. Let's go on to number 6, communications, letters, and reports received for information. You guys have probably gone through all this. Finance committee stuff, perpetual care, the sheriff report, planning commission minutes, and utility minutes. That brings us to number 7. This is where anyone from the public can comment on anything that's on the agenda. Reminder, we will have another one at the end that you can talk about any topic. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to number 8, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to put this on?
So move.
Support. And Gary, and then supported by John. Any questions? Any concerns? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Then number 9. This is the lift stations approved by, recommended by the Utilities Committee. Do I have a motion as written?
So moved.
All right. Support. Becky and Gary. Any questions? Any comments? This one was the one that pretty much this whole agenda seems to be the utilities meeting last 2 weeks ago.
It's a long meeting.
This is, I don't know if Gary, you want to talk about this a little bit, but this.
You're talking about 8-3, right?
We're at, no, we're on 9.
9.
Yep, on 9. This is, where we have some of our items that are already converted to this system.
Yes.
Yeah.
So number 9, there's too many things going on here. We had all the lift stations. We are upgrading some of the lift stations. Currently, a lot of we have like 5 lift stations right now where the equipment has been piecemealed back together as time goes on, and they don't always have the same equipment that they use to replace it with. So apparently, a lot of lift stations have different parts and pieces to make them work, but they're to the point where they need to be replaced. So we got a quote and from this company, and they're going to basically tear out all the electronics in these 5 lift stations and replace it with all new stuff, with the idea that it'll be upgraded and won't be taken care of for a long time. Some of the lift stations are getting to be 25, 30 years old, and the electronics are starting to get harder and harder to get parts for, so we thought it was time to redo them all. So that's the gist of that.
And the original plan was when we were going to replace them as we replaced the lift stations.
Mm-hmm.
We're more trying to be proactive in using the American Rescue Plan stuff that we got. Any other comments? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Move on to number 10, Maplewood Park Farmland Leases. Do I have a motion to bring it as written?
So moved.
Support.
All right, we'll kind of fight over that one. Gary and then Kirsten. This is another one that went through the utilities. This is the piece of land that was purchased a couple of weeks, about a year and a half ago. It's right adjacent to Maplewood. There's a couple different options there, and I think it's Mr. Victory. The nice thing is it maintains that property so we don't have to. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I wanted to tease this one just a little bit as it relates to sort of the background as to why we purchased the property. From what I understand, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, we purchased it right around COVID timing, so we had to it was almost like a quickly buy up situation. No one was interested and it's been out for a while. Is that correct? The background?
Sale for a long time.
Had been on sale, and then we picked it up. We bought it right around COVID timing, right? Before COVID.
We closed on the purchase in December of 20.
December of 20? Okay.
COVID was before, I want to say it was like September, October.
It started August, September area,
Yep.
and we closed in December.
Okay. And did we go into it thinking about the strategy of why we were purchasing it? Or was it just kind of like good price, good land, just buy it up?
Other board members that were in favor of that purchase might be better to elaborate, but I can tell you my understanding of the purchase was because it was adjacent green space next to an existing park. Several board members thought that you can't just get green space next to a park, so they wanted to take advantage of that for future use. There was no established plan of what to be done with it.
Okay.
It was just additional land that we could use in the future.
Okay.
And I think a motivating factor was making sure that it stayed cleaned up green space, since it was kind of a background to an existing park. So we were able, now that we're the owners, we were able to do some cleaning up there, but it also kind of gave us the control of what could land there versus it landing in somebody else's hands and falling into disrepair or being used for something that we wouldn't want in the backyard of our park.
Cool. One thing that's interesting about this piece and this purchase, so what I understand, there's a highland and then there's a muckland. And I was able to have a bit of a discussion with Roger about this land. And it's a unique piece to farming and agriculture because the muck soil allows farmers to grow things that they're not, can't normally grow and mass produce, like corn. So it's like turnips and radishes and things like that. And those products yield 20 times more revenue for the agricultural industry in Georgetown. So it's how Roger is using the land really makes a lot of sense from a revenue perspective, and then he was able to hire new team members to help man the land and confirm that there was actual Georgetown Township constituents that work for him there. And then thirdly, it really harkens back to who Georgetown is from where we started. We're a very agricultural township. So I'm delighted to see that the land, at least the muck land, is used for a lot of the things that are true to us. It's providing revenue and economy back into our ecosystem. We're able to have Georgetown Township folks work there. The component that sounds like would be something that might be more challenging is to figure out how you connect the muck land and the highland, because farmers don't necessarily need the higher land. So I'm bringing this up and going long here because I want to kind of throw it out there as a discussion and maybe like a thought to percolate in our minds of how do we want to use this land in the future. And maybe 22, Roger rents it, we're giving him the fair market rent price for farming. But let's look at 23 and see perhaps we allow that muck land to be up for sale to the open market, to a farmer. To allow for that same behavior to occur on that land, and then maybe partner with that farmer on how to utilize the highland. And we could talk about that at a later date. I did want to tease this out a bit today to give you guys a heads up on something I'm thinking about.
You would never get a farmer to pay the money that we paid for that property.
Oh, I know, we lose.
And the highland part, there's not much there.
It would just be an accessibility. Oh.
As far as development or anything like that. The highland part is, I farmed that property when I was a kid. So it's pretty much all muck or marl. There's not a lot of bottom of that stuff there. So, yeah, I crawled across them fields quite a bit as a child. But, yeah. I am in agreement running to Roger, though. He does a really good job. I've rented property to him in the past. They take good care of it.
Okay.
And they clean it up. Dave's my neighbor. They're always very good about disking it up in the fall. They do a nice job. I've been very impressed. I've rented to them for 4 or 5 years, so.
All right.
And this is fair market value. They're giving us a decent money for what it's worth right now as far as rent. That's what they're getting for running right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he farms pretty adjacent to that as it is, so his stuff's already here. His stuff is already in that vicinity because he already has that other piece closer to
Does that
Valley.
Heisinger gravel property too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a technical question. I know you might know, Gary. Future land use map shows that as rec. That just changed. Was it just changed to rec? Master plan?
Not
Is
sure.
it currently zoned recreation right now?
No, I don't think so. I think it is too.
Yeah, that's
But I think,
off the top of
I
my
think
head.
it's ag. I think it's still ag. We did not change it in the master plan recently. I don't remember that coming up. So I would say it's a zoned ag.
I know future land use was for sure rec, but I wasn't sure if
Well,
it
it could be
changed over.
talked about.
Technically, could we not rent it then, farm, if it's zoned rec?
If the land is in a certain district, and the master plan calls for it to be another district, whatever is going on here can continue to go on. That doesn't automatically change. It just is used as a guide if that property is involved.
That additional piece is not being farmed right now, correct, or hasn't been? It's kind of that wetland area?
I think the wetland is what's being farmed.
The new, it is being farmed now or not being farmed?
Muckland is being farmed.
Pretty much all of that property's been farmed, the last many years, and that's what we're doing this year. Rod Victory Farms, it's actually, we're working with David Victory, has had two parcels. Golden Hour Farms, who we, kind of picked up in the transaction and rented to this past year, has moved out. So Victory Farms is going to take over that third parcel in the northwest corner.
If we ended up wanting to sell it, would that be an issue with how it's zoned to a farmery, whatever farmer?
I mean, if they wanted to rezone it, yes, it's designated as rec.
So before we sell it, we'd have to rezone it to back to agriculture.
It's already zoned.
Oh, okay. Got it. Sorry, I missed that.
Yep.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All right. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. That brings us to our item number 11, which is the second public comment period. If you'd like to speak, feel free to come on up. You have 3 minutes. State your name and address. Seeing none, let's move on to number 12. Discussion and general information from among the board. Anyone have any discussion?
I have one housekeeping.
Okay.
Just a reminder to the remaining board, and we'll remind Jim maybe in the next meeting, that to compile some of those questions that you'd like for the survey, ideally before the services meeting on the, I don't have my couch or my 28th, thank you, sir. So that we can kind of compile and take a look, and then services, we can move that to next step.
I know we discussed that in utilities to have our stuff for the next utilities meeting.
Oh, thank you. Yep, perfect.
Anyone else? It's an easy one. Have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Yeah.